All right, welcome to the Truckers Radio Podcast. It's been a while since we've been on, but man, life's been pretty crazy for me. So we were out on the road the other day, and man, I got to throw this out there, the first things first type deal. Man, I was over in Ohio, and I was going into a facility to get loaded, and coming out through a little country road, the facility's 6 or 7 miles outside of town, and I'm just bebopping along. I'm in no big hurry. There's a little bobtail, and boy, he was right up on my DOT bumper behind me the whole way out through there. Come into a roundabout, and as soon as I got into that roundabout and cleared it, we started up the hill, kind of like a knoll that rolls over the hill on a double yellow line, of course. And I seen him as soon as I come out of the roundabout. He whipped out into the oncoming traffic lane on a double yellow line and proceeded to pass me with a bobtail tractor. And it just kind of dawned on me when I seen him out in that lane, man, there's going to be a car come over that hill. And sure enough, when he gets right at the top of that hill, I seen the headlights pop up over that hill head on with that bobtail tractor. And I thought he hit him. I thought he absolutely hit that car head on. I don't see how he missed him. But he put that car in a ditch. I mean, it come flying through the air. He hit the ditch, come back up, hit another culvert, and never even hit the brakes. He literally didn't flinch. He didn't try to slow down. I slam on the brakes and back off, and he turns his signal on and changes lanes back in front of me like he'd never done anything. And then he sped off. He speeded up, took off, of course. So I seen a couple of cars behind me had stopped to help the motorist. Well, I followed him, and we turned into the gates of this facility, and thank God he was going to the same facility that I was going to. And when I got in there, I got in behind him, kind of boxed him in where he couldn't leave. And there was another motorist that was behind me at the scene, followed in also. And when he came in, I said, look, I'm on the phone, State Highway Patrol. I said, can you run your car in front of him so the guy can't run? I was afraid he was going to try to run. Well, I proceeded around to the truck and confronted him at the door of the truck. Of course, he's getting an attitude with me because he knows he's caught red-handed. And I told him, I said, man, you just caused an accident. I don't even know at this point, was it a fatality? I have no idea. Thank God I don't think the people was seriously hurt, but they may have been. But I don't think it was. Nobody would really tell me any information past that. But we secured the scene. Thank God they had several security guards on scene that came out, took control of the situation, and waited on Ohio State Patrol to get there. And of course, we had to fill out all the lingo and everything, the reports and all that. I mean, these guys could barely speak English. I don't even think they could really even speak English. It was so broken that you couldn't really even talk to them. But most of all, I'm pretty sure, can't swear to it, this is where the CDL slacks the system with people that can't read English. They don't really grasp the way a federal driver's license works. The CDL comes with a lot more than just school. CDL comes with dignity and respect and being a professional on the highway. And I think a lot of these guys that don't go through the proper channels to get a CDL, they don't think about any of that because they obviously do not care about other people. And that was very blatant in this scene. The state police asked him, hey, you knew this was a double yellow line. He admitted, oh, yeah, I knew it. And you're not supposed to pass on that. And he just shrugged his shoulders like he didn't care. I mean, the video said it all. I went back and rewatched that video several times. The guy never even hit his brakes. He literally ran the car off the road and flipped his turn signal on to come back in front of me and proceed on down the road. At least he gave a signal, I guess. I mean, it's like the lack of empathy, the lack of give a shit about another person's life. fleeing the scene of an accident, possible injury. You didn't care. And this shit's got to quit. I mean, that's just the bottom line. This shit's got to quit. And just like I told the guys down at the facility that helped kind of secure the scene, this is what gives us a bad name when we come out here, because we get grouped together with this kind of stuff. How many other people did this cat possibly run off the road before he actually got caught? Because it was like an everyday thing to him, because he didn't even bother to flinch. He didn't hit the brakes. He just thought, well, just hit the turn signal, move back over, and go on about my business. This was a normal thing to him. He didn't get excited about much of nothing. In fact, he was mad that he actually got caught. Yeah, I know we've covered a lot of the whole illegal drivers and stuff like that. Being here illegal, I don't really approve of that. But who am I? I'm an American, and I think you should come here the right way. But when you take it a step farther and you purchase an illegal CDL and you put yourself behind the wheel of an 80,000-pound rig that can be turned into a weapon real quick out of ignorance and inexperience and just, quite frankly, don't give a shit attitude, we got a problem there. That's a hell of a problem. So what do you got going on, Daniel?
Just got parked for the day. I was listening to your story there. I was trying to find it. There was evidently another one of the Indian drivers. I think I read that he ran over and killed an elderly gentleman, another non-domicile driver. I was trying to find the article there for you, but yeah, flaring back up again, I guess.
Right. And here's the thing: it's like there's. How many people's going to have to die before we really get these guys off the road? I mean, and you see a lot of the politics, and particularly a lot of the Democratic states, really pushing back against the reform of the CDL. Like, I mean, do we not give a shit anymore about people's lives? I think it's a sad day that when we're caring more about people that doesn't even live here legally than we do about our own country's citizens. I mean, I'm sorry, red, white, blue, Democrat, Republican, that's horse shit, period. I mean, when we live in a country that would kiss another country's ass over our country, when you see it every day, we see homeless veterans. We see homeless. Not just veterans, but hell, we see homeless, period. And I know some of those are probably warranted, and some of them are not. We've came so far in technology and the way we live that most people can't afford to live. I mean, you go around Columbus, a friend lives in Columbus. If you get outside of a decent neighborhood there, you may get an apartment for $1,800 a month. And if you don't have a pretty good skill set, you're not going to afford to pay that on $15, $16 an hour. I mean, it's just, you're either going to choose you're going to live, or you're going to live under a bridge, you're going to live in an apartment, or you're going to freeze to death, one of the two. Because I don't think you can do it all at one time on $15, $16 an hour. And the inflation is so bad that the homeless populations went through the roof. I know you see it, I see it. I mean, you live in Florida. I mean, you travel up into Georgia. I live in Kentucky. I travel up in Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania. I mean, you see a lot of it. People that just simply can't even afford to buy groceries. Billions of dollars of our hard-earned tax money. I don't like paying taxes. Do you like paying taxes?
I love it.
Yeah. But we all do it. And we do it for a reason, because it's a group effort to keep our country running and functioning and roads to drive on. And it's like a big pool that we put together. It's not made for a global piggy bank. And that's what we're having predominantly in Minnesota right now. Just think, that cat up there would have been our next vice president. Let that sink in just a minute. They could have really cashed in then.
I'd say we dodged a bullet on that one.
But it still cost us how many $1 billion? In
$9.2 billion.
What gets me is we still got a congresswoman up there, dead ass in the middle of the whole makings of it, ain't doing shit with her. I mean, when are these people going to start going to jail? That's what I want to know. Because, I mean, if I was doing something like that, they jack the jail up and put me under it. And I know they would you because they don't like you anyway.
Right.
No.
I know England, they did arrest that Prince Andrew.
Wow.
That's a major deal.
That's impressive that England actually did something. And here we are in the great old United States, and we ain't doing shit about it. We just taking out the low-key players. The big money people just walk scot-free. They're just untouchable. They're invincible, so they say. I don't see where we ain't had some public arrest here. You know, I don't even understand. You got billions of dollars, suitcases of money being flew out of Minnesota. Still, right now, even after they found it, hell, they're fleeing with suitcases of money. I mean, what's going on here? I'm sorry, but I can't even explain that to make it make sense. It's like, what are we doing wrong here? There ain't no wonder we run up and down the road with potholes. You know, you go across I-70 in Indiana, I hope you ain't got dentures. Because, I mean, there's this, if you ain't got back problems, you're going to have. If you ain't got alignment problems, you will have when you get to the other side of Indiana. And hell, Illinois ain't much better. This tax money was designed by our forefathers to put into a pot for everyone to reap the benefits of the infrastructure that it created.
Hold on. Actually, income tax was after the 1900s.
Okay.
We used tariffs instead of taxes.
I get that part, but it's still, it's still, we had to do away with the tariffs because we wanted to make friends with all the foreign countries. And so we played nice and we just gave them a free ride, and we just took all the expense upon ourselves because we were just so rich. We have all these people here in America that work really hard and are successful. Hell, we could afford it without tariffs, man. Cut all these countries break so they could become mega rich. Of course, you can hear the sarcasticness in my voice there just a little bit. I mean, it's normally, I try not to get into politics, but you know, you can only keep your mouth shut for so long. You drive up and down the road, you see so many things taking place here. So many things that don't make sense, that no rhyme or reason. Why? Why are we giving money to foreign countries when we can't even take care? Well, I'm gonna scratch that. We can take care of our own people, but our government chooses to take and not give to us. Of course, we're going to take from the taxpayers, the blue collar, mainly the blue collar is the one that really floats this country. And we're going to just divvy it out to all the different foreign countries. But we're going to leave our homeless people live on the street. Hell, well, all right. Once, twice a year, we'll buy them a new tent. Does that sound right to you? I mean, does that make sense?
No, it's wrong. Should be taking care of our own.
I mean, we should not have one single homeless person on the street unless they choose to be there. We should not have one hungry person.
Especially veterans.
And veterans, especially our own people, our own veterans especially. I mean, how do you let a man that went and sacrificed his family, possibly even his life? Sometimes they come back with their life, sometimes they come back with part of it. Sometimes they come back missing legs, arms. Sometimes they come back missing a whole lot of their mind. That's a big thing. That's a huge part of our veteran population is the mental. These guys, they can't explain to you the hell they went through over there. You probably wouldn't want to know if you did. Because the mental condition they come back in, that's why they're on the street. It ain't because, they don't want to work. Well, I'm sure that guy probably would have not wanted to go and do all that for everyone else to sit here and treat him like shit either. It's a sad day that we have people that goes and fights wars, serves their country, and then they live on the street. That's the number one thing. And then, like the other day, just in my little town, I live in a hell of a small town, pretty clean cut little town. I mean, when the wife was up early, we had some errands to do. And I see this man and woman coming down the street with 2 baby strollers. First, I thought, they may have got them baby strollers to haul some stuff around in. No, they got kids in them. And you could obviously tell that they pretty well had everything they owned with them. And that should never happen in this country. I mean, we have so much fraud in this country that is milking up the resources that was meant to go for stuff like that. You know, a lot of the Somalians. I mean, I'm not trying to be an ass toward the Somalians, but it is what it is. You can call them whatever you want to. They're flying suitcases of damn money out of Minnesota. And now they're starting to find more and more. And let me give you 3 guesses where that's at. The good old state of California, they're finding more shit. And not to mention that how many more states they've set up shop and doing the same stuff. It's hard to tell how many billions in reality, and we'll probably never know how many billions. And how the hell do you go missing billions of dollars and not know that it's gone? I know, hell, if I lose $10 out of my wallet, I know that shit's gone, don't you? $100, I know it's gone because I miss it, I need it. But, so what do they got going on with it now? I've kind of been out of the loop the last day or two anyway.
I've been real busy with work, but I was curious. I did see that there's some developments in California where it looks like Gavin Newsom may be running against 2 Republicans, and we may end up with a Republican governor. There's one guy that's way out in the lead, they say. And they're talking about, I guess, the federal government deregulated the DEF systems.
Oh, yeah.
That's not mandatory, but it's up to the state. California is going to be the last to let go of that. But maybe if we get a Republican governor in there, or Republican government, period, turn it red again, then we can start deleting these trucks. Quit with this, because it's wasteful. I think when they did a study, they said it made less than a 1% difference in emissions. It's just another money grab.
Oh, yeah, definitely another money grab. And it's always at the expense of the trucker, period. It's always at the expense of the truck driver. It's always expense of the company. It's like trucking is this great, monstrous industry. And there's so many people eat off this industry. And that's good until more people start taking more than their share, not leaving enough on the table for the people that actually do a lot of the work, and that's us. That's the way it's been for years on end. It seems like it just keeps getting worse, and they just keep tricking people into, hey, let's sign up and get that CDL so we can run you up and down the road for chicken feed while we make all this and build multi-million-dollar houses and buy Lear jets. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic about somebody making good money owning a trucking company, because you know what? If you got a company like that, you probably deserved it at this point, because it's a lot of headache, I'm sure. A lot of risk. Getting in the trucking industry is about like going throwing a couple $100,000 on the crap table in Vegas. You can make it or break it, period.
These days, yeah.
I mean, you can control a lot of the industry with intelligence, smart moves, smart business. You can make money, but there's always a bigger risk than they are gain.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things that are on the table. I've seen they're talking about letting drivers use paper logs again. And I know I did paper logs back in the day. I know you did. And we ran more than one logbook. Yeah, we had to. And I got to say, man, after years of running electronic logs, I think it's actually not a bad idea. It keeps the brokers honest. And I'm wondering, with all the non-domiciled drivers that can't speak English, they can't write in English. And how are they going to keep a logbook if the DOT officer can't read Arabic or whatever language they're writing in? And are they going to mess it up and drive 18, 19 hours straight because their bosses are making them do it? A lot of these guys, yeah, they're here illegally, and I think that they're probably getting blackmailed a lot by the people that brought them over here, especially with the Hindu drivers and those guys. When I was a young kid, I worked in a beer industry. I drove the beer truck and became a sales rep. And I remember Monroe, Georgia. There was a Magic Market, little convenience store. Went out of business. It was just in a bad location. And one day we had to go in there and restock it. The Indian fella bought the place and he paid with a check. Of course, it said Patel Corporation. And him and his wife and their kids were living in the back of that store, and they were so proud to be here. They were going to be big businessmen. And 6 weeks later, they're gone. And a couple months goes by, and all of a sudden, there's another Indian family in there. And they paid with a check, and of course, it says Patel Corporation. And after about 3 times of this, I was looking into it. I was like, what is going on? And it turns out that these people, they save up as much money as they can. They have a certain amount. They go to the Patel Corporation. They give them the money. The Patel Corporation funds them the rest, which is usually hundreds of thousands of dollars. They bring them over here. They sell them the store, knowing that the store is going to fail. And when they can't make the payments, they still owe all that money. So now the Patel Corporation still owns the store, and they'll do the same deal with someone else, but that family goes back home, and now they are slaves, indentured servants is what they're called, to the Patel Corporation. To the Patel Corporation, that's great money. And I kind of wonder, is the same thing happening here with these trucking companies? Somebody's sitting somewhere, California, Washington State, who knows? And they own these trucks. And I'm pretty sure it's not Americans that own these trucks.
No.
And they have multiple authorities. You see these guys, they hit something, they just pull over and peel the sticker off the door, and they got another one to go up. I wonder, are they being forced to do things that they're normally, that we wouldn't do, but because their families, or they'll be sent back? And that still doesn't justify their actions. I believe if I was one of them, I would try to learn the customs, learn the ways over here. I couldn't imagine walking into a truck stop and the looks that we all give them at sometimes and the comments that are made. I'd want to try to change that. I'd want to show them. Someone once told me not all Swift drivers were bad drivers. And we all laughed at it, but that's the truth. There's some guys been driving 30 years with Swift, and they're good drivers. So there could be some good foreign drivers, but they just were never trained. They were never mentored properly. I'm not saying let's cut them some slack or give them a break, but no, they're here illegally. They need to go.
The bottom line is when do they cut us slack? When does DOT cut us slack and turn their head when we do something? They don't. And I don't think that asking for the law to be enforced is out of the question. You hear a lot of people say, oh, this guy couldn't read, they're taking his CDL, he's been here 20 years. Well, to me, that speaks louder than the guy that just got here that got sent back. Because if you've been here 20 years, that's your downfall that you can't speak English. That says a lot about the guy, because if you have lived in a country and you have been that stubborn, that trifling, not to learn the language of that country, and you have been here for 20 years, that is your problem. So all these people that's out there posting stuff on Facebook, wanting these sad stories, and oh, we want our CDLs back. Tough shit. You should have thought about this where you lived here for 20 years and refused to learn the language. If you want to come, if I move to China, I'm going to have to learn their language at some point. Bottom line. Why do you want to live somewhere?
Yeah, I want to know if they're making fun of me.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be pissed off. I mean, why do you want to live somewhere you don't know their language? I mean, and it's like, you want to live in your world, well, stay over there then. I mean, if you want to speak your language, go where you came from. And no big deal. We don't give a shit one way or the other. But if you come here, our infrastructure functions on English, not your language. And our signs and everything is in our English. I don't know what else to tell you.
Right.
Yeah, but I want to go back
Look
here.
at the early 1900s. The European immigrants, the Italians, they came over here. They didn't speak English, but they damn sure learned it pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why anyone else can't. And I tell you, if anybody listening to this show tonight is going up 75 northbound out of Florida, the Florida Ag Station there, you'll see about 9 or 10 trailers sitting off to the side of the road. Those are seized trailers from where they found these illegal drivers and took them out of commission. And then the trailers are sitting there. There's actually like 4 or 5 reapers sitting over there. I think there's a lot of produce rotting on those trailers. But it was a good sight to see that.
I mean, it's got to give somewhere. Just like the cat that ran them people off the road there. When it's kind of, I mean, I sit here and do this podcast and we talk about a whole lot of things, but to be in the middle of something like that, it definitely gives you a front row seat. We talk about everything, but it don't always seem realistic until you're in it. And basically the front row seat of no English. They can't speak English. They don't understand. And I think a lot of times when they do something wrong, they resort back to, well, we didn't know, we don't know. No, we don't want to know. They know. It don't take a rocket scientist to know right or wrong. Hell, a dog knows when he done something wrong. And I know a human does. You don't run a car off the road, damn near hit it head on a double yellow line and not know you didn't do something wrong. Common sense. I don't care what language you speak. The other common sense thing was, why didn't you stop? You ran. You left the scene of even a potential fatal accident. You don't know. How do you know you didn't kill them? You ran. You fled the scene of an accident, and you want to try to act like that was okay. No, it's not okay. But Daniel, I want to go back to the whole logbook thing. That's something that's been an age-old discussion. And I know I'm probably going to say some things that are going to piss a few people off, and I'm going to say some things that's going to be an understanding with some people too. When I came from the era back in the 90s and I started driving, you didn't have computer logbooks. And literally the dispatchers back then would, if you was out of hours, they'd tell your ass real quick. They sell them in the truck stop. They're 99 cents. Go get you another one. They didn't care. And back in the day, if you were a driver that ran 100% legal, they would starve you out. Most companies would in that era, been in the beginning, and then ran in the 90s. So, you know, when you called up about a job, if you called up, oh, I do everything by the book, that recruiter would probably hang up on you. Now, if you called them up and said, look, man, I love to run. I like 4,000 or 5,000 miles a week. I run 2 logbooks. I know how to do the logbooks. I got a magic pencil. They'll hire you on the spot. And it wasn't until later years when they started more implementing more restrictions and this and that and cracking down. Then they started kind of really, the companies was starting to get in trouble. They was holding the company's feet to the fire. And then they started kind of cracking down a bit. There was a lot of retaliation lawsuits because the younger drivers started coming in, the newer age drivers, more wrecks, more lawsuits. And it just started cracking down, tightening everything up. But being from that era, there's several things that I think the computer logbook made things better for the driver. And I'm sure there's all kind of people out there who disagree with me with this, but I have sat in docks for 8 hours or more sometimes and still be expected to run 600 miles overnight. They'd have that trailer out the gate where you had no time. I mean, I've literally had to run 600 miles straight through to the point you were lucky if you had the time to run through the rest area, stand on the steps with the door open and take a piss. You wasn't going to eat. You better hope you had some food in the truck while you were sitting there in that dock. Hope you had a shower the night before, because you wasn't going to, or that morning, because you wasn't going to have time to do that either. And I've literally had companies, man, if you're late, you're going to be fired. That's a really good account. Oh, we got to have this. Well, maybe they should have loaded the shit 8 hours earlier, but they didn't care. They would burn all of your time up. And even back then, you're going to eat that. Ain't nobody getting paid for that. You sure as hell wasn't getting paid for that. But they didn't care. They'd run you into the ground and tell you to go get another logbook. And you would a lot of times run yourself into the ground to make a decent enough check to send home to your family. And that seemed to be the name of the game back then. They never wanted to pay you for your time. You only got paid if you were making an extra drop and by the mile. If you wasn't rolling, that was on you. You were going to eat that time. The tension was few and far between. And the companies really took advantage of the paper logbook because the driver always took up the slack. The driver always made it happen. And everyone else had their time and took their lunches. Everyone else burnt your time up, used your time up, and then you were expected to make it happen. And when the computer logbook got ushered in, well, guess what? Everybody got a wake-up call. Paying people 32 cents a mile, that wasn't going to get it. People couldn't make money running a legal logbook. For years on end, we ran 2 and 3 logbooks, worked like mules to make the same amount of money that we can make now working 70 hours a week. Now, you tell me, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back to running 2 logbooks for the same amount of money? Because you're not going to make more money. That's a myth. Because what they're going to do, they're going to figure out how to pay you less and work you more, because now you got a paper logbook. All that detention time you get when you sit around, they're going to figure out how to not pay you that. And when you cheat that logbook and you back everything up, guess what you do? You cheat yourself out all them hours you sat there because you can't show them. They're not going to pay you that. So you tell me what you're going to do. You want that paper logbook? You want that freedom? Freedom comes with a price. I do think they need to implement some leeway. We have a parking problem in our country, a huge parking problem. I see it every day and so forth. But I think they need to have an allowance for overages for finding parking. Like if they gave you a 2-hour window for the week, and if you took an extra 20 minutes over your drive time today, well, that come off of your 2 hours for the week. That would give people a little bit of leeway to run their clocks and so forth without being pressured. And I think if a driver's on the way home, within reason, I think if it's within a 600-mile radius and he's had a 10-hour break, he should be able to PC home and make it all the way instead of having to shut down 10 miles from his house. That's some common sense things that I think could be done that would loosen the responsibility on the driver and make a little bit everybody happy. But trust me, there ain't none of you guys out here want to go to run no paper logbook or loose leaf logbook. I'm going to tell you right now, because you talk about slavery, you're going to find out what slavery is when they go back to paper logbook. You're not going to get paid for half the shit you get paid for now. See, that forced the company into paying the driver a better wage because, let's just put it this way. If you could run 2 logbooks, let's say you ran half of one, all of the other, so you ran through 70 hours and say 35 hours of the next logbook, and you brought home $1,000. Let's figure that up. 32 cents a mile, all that, time to take taxes out, insurance, this, that. You didn't get paid for your dock time, but you always made your money, right? You always run that extra because, man, I got to run 4,000 miles, 5,000 miles. And you compensated what they stole from you. They stole your time sitting in that dock, didn't pay you. They paid you 30 cents a mile, didn't pay you worth of shit. You compensated to take care of your family. Now, with electric logbook, guess what? They can't keep drivers because drivers can't make no money on a regular logbook at 32 cents a mile. Drivers can't make no money when they don't get paid sitting in a dock for 8 hours. So what did that force them to do? It forced them to start paying people.
Right.
And the wages are higher because they have to. Unfortunately, everything else around us become a whole lot more expensive too. Well, if you ask me, the driver he don't get paid enough for what he does out here. Ain't enough because there's not enough respect, there's not enough pay to come live on this road as of where we are right now. They're just not. I think they could do a whole lot better. Now, there are some companies out there that do pretty good. They pay a driver a fair wage, they treat them pretty good, but 95% of the companies out here, no, they don't. Most of those are your big mega carriers over the road companies. They don't pay them that good. Now, there are some pretty good companies. I'm not going to start name dropping, but there's a handful of really good companies that does pay good, but those are hard to get on with too. Not everybody's going to get that job. That's all I had to say about the logbook. Most people ain't going to agree with me on it. They think, oh man, if I had that paper logbook, boy, I could run and make, but the confusion is you ain't going to be making what you're making right now. That's the misconception. Because trust me, the minute they come...
And the days of the guys that actually knew how to drive, they're gone.
Yeah.
Now you'd have a bunch of idiots out here that you'd have a bunch of illegals or non-domiciled drivers that they'd run 24 hours straight.
Oh, yeah. I know a feller, I'm not going to mention any names and incriminate, but I know a feller used to run out of Lebanon, Tennessee, and he'd run out to San Francisco and out there to Oakland, get unloaded, fix the logbook, kind of bring it on down to L.A., reload, pretend like he done a restart, and would be back in Lebanon, Tennessee in about 5.5 days. 5,800 mile a week, every single week, dedicated route. Like I said, I ain't gonna mention any names by no means, but I know that fella pretty good. I think that guy said he went through about 4 logbooks a month. That's the kind of money, and you know what? He made less than he does now, doing all that. So them guys screaming want that paper logbook back, they better think again. Because you're not going to keep your same pay scale. You may for a little while, but then you're going to start seeing companies find every way in the world to take back this, take back that, and all of a sudden you're not getting detention time. Now all of a sudden, well, they're going to run everybody. They're going to roll their company over, and they're going to hire all these new kids at a lower pay rate. Next thing you know, they're going to starve you out and replace you because they want people to do it cheaper. You may not take less, well, you'll go somewhere else. And when you're not going to get a job somewhere else what you're making now, because they will fix it to where you're not going to be paid. That was the way it used to work back in the day. I can hear today. You got it a whole lot better now. I think drivers are more rested. I think it put the companies in check. The accidents and all the things we have out here today, I think is more driven by inexperience and improper training, and you name it. Just it all kind of boils down to a whole lot of things. But I don't think it's got shit to do with that logbook. People says, "Oh, forces somebody to drive when they're tired." Well, they always have the option to stop. They're the captain of the ship. They can say that all they want. They're the captain of the ship, point blank. It always has been. And I was an owner-operator for many years after I was a company driver. But even when I was a company driver, I was still the captain of the ship, because when I said, I'm done, unless they come out and drove the truck, I was going to park it. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to be manipulated into doing something I don't want to do, or it's not safe to do. But I just don't think the logbooks, they need to be some improvements. But the computer logbook's much easier to deal with. And not to mention the And I love law enforcement. I really do. I'm behind them. But just like not every truck driver is good, not every law enforcement plays by the rules. My son's a police officer. I have all the respect in the world for police and fire and everything else in DOT. But you know as well as I do with the paper logbook, you set yourself up for whatever he thinks is going on or what he interprets the law is. Now he's going to write your ass a ticket when he wants to. Computer log, a little harder to do. It's in that computer logbook. They can't hide what they say you did or this or that. You have proof. So that actually helps a lot too. Well, Daniel, I'll tell you what, I think a lot of this politics has really kind of got me tore up to just the way they doing things nowadays. And
yeah.
You got anything else? What about Brian?
No, I don't. I'm good. I'm actually about to fall asleep here. It's been a long. I got one last thing I guess I want to talk about. It is I'm curious. I'd like to hear from some other listeners. They can email in or something. Last night I took a shower at a Pilot. Went to get out and I hit the floor like a bag of wet cement. Of course, I had to fill out a report with Pilot. And during their report, they were trying to find every way possible to ask me why I did it. They dry the floors and clean them between every driver. I said, yeah, but, floors get wet again when you take a shower. This was inside the shower. I wonder if it's happened to anyone else and what they did about it. And the people had the nerve to charge me $3 for a cup of coffee. After I'm sitting there with my elbow all swollen up. I don't know if I got a concussion or not. I know I've been drowsy all day. Right. And I guess I'm waiting for somebody from corporate to reach out, and I will keep you guys informed. I'm going to have some fun with this. And unfortunately, I don't think I'm injured enough to sue them to where I don't have to drive a truck no more. I can go ahead and retire, but,
you wouldn't.
Maybe I can get enough out of it. Oh, man, I'll get some free coffee for life. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
Free reserve parking or
That's
something.
That's probably all you're ever going to get out of them is free coffee. You'd be lucky you get free coffee.
Yeah.
For life.
Yeah, I just said something tonight. I reserved a spot. I was running out of hours and the only thing left. So I took it. I reserved it. And I made a comment to them. They were like, show us some respect. And I said, hey, shit, start giving me free coffee again.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Those days are long gone.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever had to pay for a cup of coffee. I'm going to tell you, and I've talked about this before on here, man. The first time I ever had to pay for a cup of coffee, I was so mad. I got up to the counter and bought, filled up, topped off with fuel, and that girl rings that coffee up, $2.50. I like that. Come unglued. Honestly, I think I left.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
I thought they were joking. I grabbed my thermos and went to walk out.
Yeah, it was right after 9/11. They started charging for coffee. I still remember that. I was at the Pilot. If you're going north on 75, I was at the Pilot on the right-hand side, the one that used to have the granny's or grandma's restaurant in it. And I think it was even before they built the other one on the other side of the interstate. I was at that truck stop. That's where you had to pull down, kind of like the pumps are down. There's a 2-story one there in Georgetown, Kentucky. I still remember the day. I even remember the cashier. I actually got to be decent friends with her after a while. I think me and her had a love-hate friendship for several years. I ran up and down through there, but eventually we kind of buried the hatchet and become friends. I thought she was the hatefulest old bag I ever seen in my life. I couldn't find out. She had a pretty rough husband and that kind of mistreated her pretty bad. And I felt bad for thinking that way about her. But not always is people a certain way because they're just that way. Sometimes they're like that because of the life they live. But I didn't know that back at the time. But we got to be pretty decent friends. She was an older lady, and I still remember her charging me for that cup of coffee. Man, I was so mad. I left her sitting there on the counter. I stomped all the way back to that truck, took off, grabbing gears. I was so pissed. Oh, well, I guess we got over it anyway. If you're going to drink coffee, I guess you're going to pay for it. Every once in a while we get lucky and somebody else, don't worry about it, go on. But for the most part, man, I mean, it is what it is. They nickel time the shit out of us out here. You would think, out of respect to a man out here on the road supporting this country on his back, that we would have truck stops would be almost kind of like a wholesale place where we would buy things cheaper. We could eat cheaper. We could buy cheaper snacks and things like that, particularly just for us, because we are confined to the road and we are laying down a sacrifice to coming out here away from our family and all that. But in turn, we just kind of get ass gouged. And I don't really think that's right at all. I've bitched about that for years. And one of these days, we're going to do a big episode on the cost of what it actually costs to be a truck driver, not necessarily what you make. I think that's going to be a pretty good episode, what it actually costs a truck driver to support his family and country and what you give up. A lot of people don't realize what you give up out here on the road. But anyway, well, Brian, what do you think about all this, what it costs us to live out here on the road?
Well, Stacey, it's pretty rough sometimes with the price of everything that's gone up, and especially the last 4 or 5 years, it was real rough.
Right.
The prices in the grocery stores and restaurants, we're still battling high prices. It's kind of crazy sometimes. I don't eat a lot of fast food like I used to. I'm trying to eat a lot more healthier, and that becomes a lot more expensive, especially if you're trying to prep meals at the house before you go out on the road, and whether you're cooking some chicken up or some steaks or hamburger, just prepping all your stuff, putting them in containers. And it all costs a lot of money if you want to eat real healthy. Of course, you want to eat not healthy. It's not as expensive, but we all know that's not good for your health. But yeah, personally, Stacey, I would say I'm probably spending every single week at least probably about $70, $80 just for 5 days out here, just to prep all my meals. But that's including some drinks and stuff like that, maybe some sanitizer wipes, paper towels, but mostly the food, man.
Yeah.
Produce and fruits.
My wife didn't prep my food, which I try to stay fairly clean on a diet. I try to eat carnivore a lot, kind of ketovore, carnivore. And she does prep all of my food when I go to work and stuff, and I go out on the truck. So that helps. That does help a lot because, man, if I had to live out of a truck stop, like, holy crap, man. It would just be unreal. And not to mention diet. It's hard to eat, man. It's when you're trying to be on a mindful diet of what you're eating and being healthy. And I think that's one of the biggest things of truckers, man. This shit takes you out quicker than anything. Your lifestyle that you live on this truck. You live in these trucks, I don't know, sometimes 5, 7 days at a time, sometimes months at a time. And the average truck driver dies probably 20 years prematurely than he normally would have, just simply because of the life that he lived out here on the road and the food that he eat, constantly eating out fast food. And if you look at, especially back in the old days, all your truck stops were these comfort food, mashed potatoes, gravy, pork chops, which pork chops are good, the mashed potatoes and all this. And it was that good old-fashioned food, good eating, but it didn't do nothing for the blood pressure and, your weight. Sedentary lifestyle, you really just wreaks havoc on somebody. It breaks your body down way more than you ever dreamed that it did. Everybody says, oh, you just sat in that seat. Well, no, not really. Especially like when that last several years I was pulling owner-operator, slinging change. I pulled a lot of oversized stuff. It most definitely took a toll on me. I'm back pulling reefer and dry box now. I loved pulling step deck, flatbed. I like the atmosphere of it. I've done a little bit of everything out here, but physically, I liked that because I got out of the truck and could move around a little bit. Not just that sedentary 600-700 miles a day. That's what really kills you. Well, like you said there, Brian, man, prepping your phone. I'm going to say this before we get off here, man. We're going to slow down on some of the episodes just for a little while. We got a lot of changes going on. We're getting ready to move our office over the next 2 or 3 months. So we're going to be hitting out some episodes, but don't lose touch with us. We're definitely ain't going anywhere. We just got a lot of moves going on, a lot of stuff that's happening on a personal level here too. Nothing bad, just making a few moves, a lot of stuff going on. After my dad passed away, it changed a whole lot of the way we, things that's going on in our lives and a lot of adjustments here. So we're going to definitely keep it full steam ahead. We'll be back once we get everything moved and settled and all that. We'll be full steam ahead. We ain't ever going nowhere. We're going to be right here for many years to come. Another good thing, if y'all ain't checked it out, thetruckersradiopodcast.com. We revamped the website, and I will soon have a store available for merchandise, beanies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, everything to kind of help support our channel. We actually have a thing out there too. If you enjoy what we're doing, you can go in and you want to support us $1, $2, $3 a month, a week. Anything you can do, it kind of helps us keep bringing everything to you and making things better as we go. But we'll have that merchandise up there hopefully by the early summer. Get all this together. We got a lot of stuff going on too. But we're going to wrap it up for the Truckers Radio Podcast, buddy. I'll see y'all next time.